Our next witness is Daniel Fennick, attorney at law. You would know that the attorney brings the books.
Absolutely.
I can identify with that.
Thank you. I'm Daniel Fennick. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I've given you written testimony. It's, of course, as the lawyer, the thickest package that you have. But it has a lot of the information that you've actually asked other witnesses about. For example, I've given you the track record of the Charter Appeal Board since the beginning in terms of how many charters have been approved and how many have not been approved. But what I wanted to talk about initially, a little bit of my background. I've been practicing for a long time, since '79, and for about the past 25 years, I've been doing special education work on behalf of students and parents, and I've also been doing school disciplinary work on behalf of students and parents. And I'm going to relate this to the cyber charters. I just want to say one thing about that. I don't represent any cyber charters. I don't know exactly how their curriculum works, but what I have seen in representing parents of special education kids and parents of kids who get expelled from public schools is that they often have nowhere to go. If you get expelled, and around here they really take this seriously, the school boards, for taking a pill, an impulsive kid who takes a pill in November, that kid is going to get expelled uniformly in this county until the end of the school year. None of the other public schools will take them. The private schools in the area will not take them. They have nowhere to go to school except possibly a cyber charter. So I just wanted to point that out. I don't know if you've considered that in any of the legislation, but that is a really important function that they serve. Same thing with special education kids. I fight with school districts to get kids satisfactory IEPs and 504 plans, and a lot of times the parents are tired of the fight. They just think no matter what they do, the school is not going to give the child what the child needs. And again, sometimes they'll come in and they'll say, I'm going with the cyber charter because they have listened to me. They've created a program for my child, and my child is not going to have the same frustration that he or she does going to public schools. So I know that's not why I'm here, but I thought I'd throw that one in here. The first point that I want to make is that I thank you for coming down here. And at this point, all of you, and especially Senator Walk, because he's been here before, have now been in this building longer than any of the York City school board members have been in this building over the last 9 years. They do not come here. And this is going to lead to a point that I'm making later. I represent this school. I also represent the Pocono Mountain Charter School right now that is in a revocation fight, and their CEO, Dennis Bloom, is sitting behind me. The school board members in the Pocono Mountain School District do not visit his school either. We have administrators from the York City School District come in a couple times a year, and he's got the same thing. Somebody will show up once a year for 15 minutes, pick up some documents, and disappear. The people in the chartering districts do not know what's going on in the charter schools. And if they would come here and see what you've seen and see how these kids act, they would believe that this is a good school and that the Pocono school is a good school. And ironically, there are 4 school districts in the state of Pennsylvania that have middle schools in corrective action too. And they are Philadelphia, Chester, City of York, and the Pocono Mountain School District. And those are the districts that are trying to close down successful charter schools. I've given you, in this package, the chart that shows our gains. I'm not sure where it is, but it's at the beginning. At this school over the past 5 years, page 8. Okay, and if you will look at that, there's a graph that shows every elementary school in the city of York, and the highest bar, by far, belongs to the Lincoln Charter School. We are clearly outperforming every other elementary school in the city of York. And this is with the same kids that go to the other schools. I think we have the highest Latino population in the city. Pocono Mountain's made AYP 4 out of the last 5 years. They're operating in a district that has, as I said, one of the few schools in corrective action too. But they're subject to revocation proceedings. Something is wrong with the way this process is working. The very beginning of my exhibit, starting on page 1, is a 5-page summary of the litigation that we had to go through to get the school open. And I'm not expecting you to look at it now, but we were fighting over the original charter at the same time that the New York City School District was turning us down on our renewal. I mean, that's how complicated this got. And the litigation was not about the children. It was about what legal means the district can use to keep us from opening. Very good example is when we finally got our charter from the Charter Appeal Board. We basically sat down with the school district and said, well, we have our charter, can we have the keys? No, because we don't have a lease with you for this building. And until we get a satisfactory lease for you with this building, we're not giving you the school. So we had to go back to court, Common Pleas Court, 2 separate times, to get a court order to get them to turn the building over to us. I mean, that's the kind of thing that we're facing, and no one on the public school side can tell me that that type of litigation is serving the interests of the kids. There's something wrong with the way this stuff is done. We tried to get a middle school charter last year. I'm looking for my ruler because I wanted to make a point. We filed an application based on the results of this school. We have the same school board, we have the same education management organization, we have the same parents who came to us and said, we don't want to send our kids to the York City middle schools because there are problems there. Why can't you open a middle school? And we decided, sure, we can do that. This pile here, which I've measured earlier, it's about 6.5 inches high, is the materials that we gave to the York City School District. And that school board is supposed to objectively go through this pile of stuff and apply the charter law and make a decision as to whether our charter meets the requirements of the charter school law. That's silly. I mean, giving them benefit for having all the good faith in the world, which most of them do, they don't have time, they don't have the expertise, they don't have the ability to do that. And what they get instead, as far as how do we make a decision on approving or disapproving a charter, is the stuff that I have given you. This is what happens when I testify off the cuff. I lose my page 14 of the exhibits, I think, are flyers that were circulated by the teachers union in York City attacking what the charter would do to the York City tax base and attacking Edison Schools, our EMO. There's a series of pages there. Fight against Edison. Edison is unsuccessful. The charter school